Bitte anschnallen! Bei unserer heutigen Fahrt geht es mal wieder durch den Channel Tunnel. Für uns nichts Neues. Ich kann mich lebhaft erinnern, wie Kapitän Fossi uns 2019 durch den britischen Linksverkehr nach Yorkshire gesteuert hat. Und ich war mehr als froh, damals meinen Lappen kurzzeitig zur Polizeiinspektion nach Bielefeld, Grüße gehen raus, geschickt zu haben und mich dieser Challenge nicht stellen zu müssen. Heute geht's nach Wales, ein First-Timer für mich. Ich bin gespannt. Wie angekündigt, auch mal einen Worldwide Besenwagen im deutschen Bus unterzubringen. Und dazu noch einen Podcast-Kollegen begrüßen zu dürfen. Mein Name ist Bastian Marx.
Meiner ist Paul Voss.
Und meiner Andi Stauf.
Und wir bedanken uns auch im Heimatland von Rafa für jahrelangen Support. Schaut doch dort mal wieder auf der Website vorbei oder besucht die Clubhouses in Berlin oder München für die neuesten Winterstyles.
Mir ist gerade eingefallen, dass ich uns ja einmal fast ins Verderben geritten hätte, weil ich ja sehr selbstbewusst gesagt habe, dass ich mehr weiß, auf welcher Seite wir fahren müssen. Und ich glaube, wir einmal abgebogen sind mit dem Rad auf die falsche, auf die falsche Spur.
Fast gestorben einmal mit dem Rad, ja. Genau.
Ja.
Im Auto war gut. Im Auto war gut.
Ja, im Auto krieg ich es hin, aber im Rad ist dann, vergisst man es manchmal.
Ich weiß noch, dass ich ja zweite Reihe war. Also ich bin nicht so fast direkt gestorben wie du. Ja. Du warst, glaube ich, erste Reihe. Hast du mir auch noch in Erinnerung, ja. Nee, ich find's crazy. War schon mal einer von euch in Wales?
Ja.
Bei dir hätte ich es mir gedacht oder denken können.
Tour of Britain ein paar Mal und auch so. Ja. Ist Wales unglaublich schön. Mhm. Man versteht halt nichts, weil die Straßenschilder sind halt, ist ein Potpourri einfach an Buchstaben, die gewürfelt wurden. Mhm. Ohne.
Ja, stimmt.
Ja.
Ich habe heute schon längste Städtename der Welt gegoogelt.
Ist auch in Wales.
Ist nämlich auch, ja.
Ich weiß noch, einmal es gab eine Zielankunft in Wales, und ich glaube fast jedes Jahr immer gleich. Da war so eine Runde, die ging es irgendwie so einen steilen Berg hoch, Abfahrt und es war so eine, ich glaube so ein Rundkurs sogar. Da war irgendwie Ziel. Auf jeden Fall hatten wir da Ziel und dann kam nach der Etappe, da bin ich damals für Endura gefahren, also ein britisches Team, kam ein alter Mann an und wir hatten einen sportlichen Leiter aus Wales. Und der hat uns dann die ganze Zeit zugetextet. Aber wir waren zu dem Zeitpunkt nur Leute, die zwar Englisch verstanden haben, aber natürlich kein Welsh. Und dann kam unser sportlicher Leiter dazu, Alter, und dann haben sie sich da unterhalten. Das ist halt wie
Schweizerdeutsch.
Nein, das ähnelt halt gar nicht. Also das ist einfach so wie einfach betrunkene Männer, die miteinander reden. Also auf einer Sprache, die du schon nicht verstehst.
Vorsichtig mit solchen Aussagen.
Nee, bin ich nicht. Also, genau so hat es sich angehört. Und das ist komplett absurde Sprache. Da können wir nachher auch zu fragen, ob er spricht.
Also, wir können ja jetzt schon mal irgendwie, es hat auch jeder schon im Folgentitel gelesen, dass Luke Rowe heute zu Gast sein wird. Wer nicht weiß, wie das funktioniert, wir unterhalten uns hier immer so über Zoom erstmal zu dritt. Wir sitzen in einem Bus und fahren irgendwo hin und unterhalten uns zu dritt und schalten den Gast dann erst dazu, wenn wir hier fertig mit unserem Quatsch sind. Also das kann noch schief gehen quasi.
Aber warum hast du das jetzt gerade erklärt?
Ja, einfach so, dass der Hörer mal weiß, woran er ist hier. Oder dass er dann halt auch vorher nicht wissen kann, wie gut das klappt. Wir haben ja auch schon Aufnahmen verloren.
Oder ich dachte, du denkst gerade, dass wir so viele neue HörerInnen haben, dass man jetzt mal kurz das Konzept hier erklären muss.
Ja.
Man kann es ja aber immer wieder, kommen ja vielleicht mal ab und zu neue dazu. Also zu den 3, 4 anderen Hörern, die wir haben.
Was ich mir auch seit Jahren, will ich schon sagen, aber es stimmt eigentlich fast, seit Jahren denke, ist, dass man hier an dieser Stelle auch mal sagen könnte, wem dieser Podcast gefällt, kann auch mal bewerten und einen positiven Kommentar hinterlassen. Andere Podcasts sagen das immer am Ende, wir nie.
Aber nur, wenn es eine 5 ist. Sonst
klar.
Nicht.
Wir kriegen ständig Bewertungen, nur die lest ihr nicht, weil die lese nur ich.
Doch, ich lese die schon manchmal.
Wo kriegen wir die? Aber es geht doch nur bei Apple, oder?
Nee, bei Spotify auch.
Mittlerweile geht es auch bei Spotify, genau. Aber das Witzige ist ja, dass ich auch öfter mal so...
Paul ist jetzt der Erste, der nach dieser Aufforderung bewertet. Danke, Paul. Danke für die 3,5 Sterne, die du jetzt gibst.
Nee, ich hab uns natürlich gerade 5 gegeben, aber wo sehe ich da die Bewertung? Also nee, aber die Kommentare dazu?
Die sehe nur ich.
Ja, was ist denn das?
Willst du den Zugang haben? Den kann ich dir ermöglichen. Dann kannst du das auch durchlesen.
Nee, also nur wenn es positiv ist, weil ich mache ja schon unsere Mail-Account und manchmal
stimmt.
Manchmal habe ich schon gar keine Lust, mir die Mail anzuschauen, wenn ich die Überschrift sehe. Und es kann natürlich sein, dass ich dann mir gar keine Kommentare anschaue.
Ja, also dramatische Kritiker fühlen sich immer stark berufen, das auch kundzutun.
Zu Recht, es ist eher vollkommen in Ordnung. Manche Sachen haben wir auch angepasst.
Definitiv.
Aber wo du gerade sagtest, dass wir in einem Bus unterwegs sind und den Podcast aufnehmen, am Anfang des Podcasts, kann ich mich noch daran erinnern, sind da wirklich manche Leute davon ausgegangen, dass wir wirklich immer dahin gefahren sind.
Ey.
Ja, und dass wir an der Tür klopfen und das so aufnehmen und bei Leuten. Ja.
Ich würde auch gerne machen, aber dafür brauchen wir erstmal ein Auto und Zeit.
Ich glaube, Zeit ist eher das Problem als das Auto wahrscheinlich sogar. Aber ich dachte am Anfang auch, der Podcast Hotel Matze, dass der wirklich ein Hotel hat.
Paul.
Ja klar, heißt ja auch so.
Nein, aber am Anfang.
Dein
am Anfang,
Internetführerschein, der ist ja sowieso nur noch auf Probe.
Am Anfang.
Der ist nur Honoris Causa.
Leute, am
wenn wir
Anfang.
das hier, wenn wir das mal weiterleiten aus unserer Gruppe in die Öffentlichkeit, dann ist der ganz schnell weg. Dann kriegst du ihn auch nicht mehr so leicht wieder.
Ja, damit kann ich leben. Ich bin einfach nur ein sehr vorsichtiger Mitmensch. Ich stempel nicht alles direkt als Fake ab und als Lüge, deswegen frage ich euch ja, aber mir wird manchmal der Mut genommen zu fragen, weil ich dann gleich denke, ich kriege eine Verwarnung.
Du. Ja. Wir sind immer ganz ehrlich mit dir. Ja. Ja, gut, kurz mal so, es war eine relativ ereignislose Woche bei Paul und mir, das haben wir hier schon kurz im Vorgespräch abgeklärt, aber ich hatte dir es angekündigt, Andi, wir bei unserem Schwalbe-Ride, wir waren am Wochenende im Bergischen und haben ein paar Quoms geholt.
Mal ganz kurz. Ich habe gerade angefangen, ein paar Bewertungen zu lesen bei Apple. Die zweite, die mir direkt ins Auge springt, das hättet ihr mir jetzt echt nicht sagen dürfen, ne? Weil jetzt gucke ich mir das nachher die ganze Zeit an und dann kann ich wieder schlecht schlafen und denke, wir müssen ja alles über den Haufen werfen und neu machen. Ja gut. Danke dafür. Aber jetzt kannst du weiter über deine... Nee, aber du hast keine Quoms geholt.
Wilma hat Quoms geholt.
Wilma.
Ich bin doch nur Anfahrer. Wenn ich mich richtig anstrenge im Bergischen, dann wäre ich so 11.
Beim Quom.
Also ich war, nicht beim Quom. Wilma jetzt schon 20. beim richtigen Quom.
Quom hört sich auch ein bisschen weird, also hört sich so ein bisschen wie was anderes an, aber nicht wie...
Quom hört sich jetzt auch nicht so geil an.
Quom? Ja, gut.
Aber
finde normal.
Wilma ist jetzt aber auch klassisch Bergfahrerin, oder? Also sieht immer mehr aus wie eine Bergfahrerin.
Also sie hat jetzt nochmal einen Step gemacht auf jeden Fall. Das ist das Einzige, was ich nochmal hier verkünden wollte. Es ist echt heftig. Also sie kann jetzt auch langsam bergab fahren. Das ist eigentlich das richtig Krasse.
Wird sie nächster Profi?
Also ja, du. Ich glaube, die hat einfach keinen Bock.
Ja gut, als Lehrerin würde ich das auch nicht machen. Also da hast du auf jeden Fall, ich meine, so viel Urlaub wie ihr macht, scheint mir das auf jeden Fall
ich auch die bessere Variante zu sein. Ich habe mich ehrlich gesagt die Tage gefragt, als ich so eine Story, glaube ich, bei ihr gesehen habe, die du gefilmt hast wahrscheinlich. Ja. Oder umgekehrt.
Wahrscheinlich.
Manchmal verliere ich den Überblick, weil ihr das so zoomt, dass es so von beiden sein könnte. Eure gemeinsame Story, sagen wir mal so. Und da ist hat die so krass gepaced vorne, da dachte ich mir so, ist die nicht vielleicht schon heimlich vorher Rad gefahren und du wusstest das nicht? Und die hat dich auch gezielt ausgewählt, weißt du? So. Ich kann mir das kaum vorstellen, dass man jemanden
ist eine Verschwörungstheorie, aber
so
die
das Radfahren
natürlich zutreffen.
Aufschwatzt und dann funktioniert das auch noch so gut, weißt du?
Ja.
Eigentlich ist es ja so, wenn man so Eltern hat, die ihre Kinder so krass pushen in so einen Sport. So macht das schon fast den Eindruck, ist das eure Beziehung. Ja. Partnerin einfach aufs Rad gesetzt, angeschoben, los und jetzt mittlerweile wird er abgehängt.
Basti lebt gerade seine eigene potenzielle Profikarriere durch seine Freundin.
Ja, wird ja keine Profikarriere, ist ja definitiv der Fall. Aber ich würde das auch unterstützen natürlich. Ne? Also Andi sagt ja, ich bin der größte Radsportfan der Welt, ja, da auch. Also ist das Gleiche.
Aber ich glaube,
ohne Scheiß, nur noch mal so als Fazit. Ich kenne ja auch ein paar Frauen, die auch richtig schnell Radfahren können. Und ich habe bis jetzt immer so, bis vor 2-3 Monaten habe ich schon gesagt, so, okay, Wilma ist saukrass, kann super gut Radfahren. Aber jetzt ist es auch so, langsam kriegen die auch wirklich die richtig Guten nicht mehr abgehängt.
Aber Ich glaube auch, also Andi hat da gerade was angestoßen. Also ich finde, Leute da draußen, die so ein bisschen investigativen Bereich unterwegs sind, dürfen da gerne mal anfangen zu ermitteln, weil ich glaube nämlich auch, das ist, glaube ich, ein lang gehegter Plan hier. Also irgendwie, es läuft auf jeden Fall zu gut, sagen wir mal so.
Ja, ich lasse euch auf jeden Fall teilhaben weiterhin. Den weiteren Achievements. Ich bin ja immer noch dafür, dass wir mal so ein Bergzeitfahren organisieren. Wir hatten das ja schon öfters mal vor, aber so ein Hillclimb.
Ja, jetzt macht das Red Bull schon, das brauchen wir schon nicht mehr machen.
Ja, aber das ist ja auch, Red Bull macht ja so das ist ja nicht so ein richtig geiles Format.
Ich habe das ja auch schon mal angesprochen hier. Ich finde das ja total Quatsch immer. Warum ist es überhaupt ein Com oder ein Quom? Warum ist es nicht King of die flache Straße oder Queen? Weißt du, also warum?
Allein wegen dem Namen,
will ich jetzt auch nicht unbedingt unterstützen, aber dass immer alle Segmente oder Bergzeit fahren, keiner macht doch einfach.
Ja, die sind halt vergleichbar.
Ist halt ein Markenname.
Das andere kannst viel mehr im Windschatten von irgendjemandem oder einem LKW fahren.
Es gibt ja auch flache Coms. In Berlin gibt es ja nur flache Coms, aber das ist halt so ein Markenname, Com, oder? Und Quom.
Ja, aber ein Bergzeitfahren organisieren. Lass mal lieber ein Bergabzeitfahren organisieren. Kann ich auch mitfahren.
Ich wäre fast.
Wir können ja beides machen.
Ich wäre fast dafür, Com zu gendern, als Quom zu sagen. Com innen.
Quom einfach.
Komm innen. Anstatt Quom hört sich echt hart. Es ist, ja, egal.
Aber es ist halt Queen of Mountain.
Ja, ich weiß, was Queen of Mountain. Ich weiß
völlig normale Bezeichnung.
Ich finde eigentlich nur das Mountain in dem Ding nicht so gut.
Mich stört ja auch nicht das King oder das Queen. Also,
aber wenn wir gerade schon über Mountain sprechen, ich habe nämlich doch 2 Sachen diese Woche erlebt, die ich gerne mit euch besprechen will. Eins davon kam mir nochmal ins Bewusstsein beim Telefonat mit Linus Gerdemann, wo wir tatsächlich über diese Etappe, die Basti vor 2 Wochen jetzt abgefahren ist, oder die Bergankunft nach Akalis in Andorra, die Jan Ulrich 1997 gewonnen hat. Da haben wir irgendwie drüber gesprochen. Ich weiß gar nicht, wie wir drauf kamen. Und dann haben wir uns das Ergebnis nochmal angeguckt. Fahrzeit bei der Etappe, könnt ihr mal schätzen.
Das war asozial lang, oder? Das war so 6 Stunden.
Ja, okay. Du sagst 6 Stunden, Paul, sag mal, wie lang war die Fahrzeit der Etappe damals?
Ich sag noch mehr, ich sag 6,20.
Ich glaube, es war kurz vor 7 Stunden. Ich habe mir es nämlich auch noch mal irgendwann angeschaut. Es war so absurd lang.
Es waren 7 Stunden 46.
Oder
Man
so,
muss dazu sagen, das war also in der zweiten Tourwoche.
Alter, 7 Stunden 46, das ist Gravel-Rennen, ist das Ultra-Distance.
Ja,
weißt du?
Und es war während einer 3-Wochen-Rundfahrt. Also wahrscheinlich die richtigen Fans, die wissen jetzt, welche Etappe das genau war, aber ich glaube so 14 oder sowas. Ja? Also mitten in der Tour, du hattest auf jeden Fall schon gut was in den Beinen und danach auch. Jetzt könnt ihr mal einen Tipp geben, wie lang die Etappe war.
250.
252 Kilometer und ein paar zerquetscht. Also überleg mal, also es wäre eigentlich so, als ob du so Lüttich-Bastogne-Lüttich während einer 3-Wochen-Rundfahrt nochmal einbaust. Aber gut, ne, lange Etappen gab es früher immer, aber jetzt kommt ja dazu, dass da noch ein bisschen bergauf ging.
Ja gut, aber die sind ja auch morgens wieder aufgestanden, als wenn sie am ersten Tag wären. Von daher ist das ja...
Alter.
Aber, guck mal, Höhenmeter. Hast du jetzt nachgeguckt, oder was?
Ich habe jetzt nachgeguckt.
Paul, gib mal eine Schätzung. Wir hatten ja jetzt, glaube ich, war das sogar dieses Jahr die schwerste Tour-Etappe seit so und so vielen Jahren?
97.
Nee.
Ja, keine Ahnung.
Also, und die hatte, keine Ahnung, 5000 noch was Höhenmeter, oder?
Ja, also dann wahrscheinlich auch so zwischen 5,5 und 6, gehe ich mal von aus, oder?
8.500 Höhenmeter.
Nee, das kann nicht stimmen.
Das steht auf Pro Cycling Stats. Die sind 32er Schritt gefahren, Paul.
Nee, aber die
über 8 Stunden fast.
Aber die GPX-Stat möchte ich gerne nochmal auswählen. Also 8,5, ist mal ohne Scheiß, 8.500 Höhenmeter. Das heißt, du müsstest 4-mal, also du müsst den Berg nach vom Tal Andorra.
Es ist ja Everesting.
Nee, die sind gestartet auf französischer Seite.
Ja, aber ey, Andi, 8.000 Höhenmeter.
Gute Runde gefahren, glaube ich.
Ja gut, aber jetzt mal ohne Scheiß, fahr mal 8.000 Höhenmeter. Also da musst du schon richtig, also das 250 Kilometer ist halt echt wenig für 8.000 Höhenmeter. Ich glaube, das stimmt. Das glaube ich wirklich nicht, dass das stimmt. Also steht da vielleicht.
Ich kann es mir fast auch nicht vorstellen.
Alter,
ich gucke gerade mal, ob ich das nochmal irgendwo.
8,5.
Ja, aber stell mir vor, du machst ein Everesting in 7,5 Stunden.
Ja.
Unter Idealbedingungen. Das schafft ja auch keiner, oder? Was ist denn der Rekord beim Everesting?
Die Bedingungen waren aber besser. 1997.
So.
Ja, okay. Oh.
Die Bedingungen waren sehr gut.
Die Bedingungen waren besser, ja, aber das ist ja.
Das Verhältnis vom Hämatokritwert war damals ähnlich hoch. Ja, auf jeden Fall sind die trotzdem nur einen 32er Schnitt gefahren und dann muss er reinziehen, das Gruppetto ist nochmal eine Dreiviertelstunde länger gefahren. Also die sind 8,5 Stunden unterwegs gewesen.
Scheiße. Ja, ey, ganz ehrlich, das wird uns jemand beantworten können. Da wird wieder so ein Stefan Gerhardt oder jemand sagen, okay, ich bin die ganze Etappe schon mal abgefahren. Das ist mein Strava-File davon.
Ja, bestimmt.
Weit uns ein,
ja,
bitte.
aber gerne. Also
das ist 8.500 halte ich jetzt auch für schwierig. Vielleicht 6.500.
Liebe Besenwagen-Hörerinnen, gerne mal recherchieren. Vielleicht kriegt man eben einen GPX-File da zusammen oder einer erstellt das mal und sagt uns das dann. Aber das finde ich, und dann bitte auch nicht nur von einem Anbieter, vielleicht mal so 3 und vergleichen, weil 8,5 ist halt absurd viel.
Kannst du eigentlich, Andi, wenn du jetzt unter der Woche zur Tourpräsentation fährst, kannst du Fragen stellen?
Soll ich noch mal fragen, irgendjemand da?
Frag nochmal nach.
Die sind alle nicht mehr da. Also ich weiß nicht, wer von der Tourorganisation 97 schon dabei war. Vielleicht ist da jemand noch dabei. Ja, kann ich mal. Also Nachforschungen werden angestellt und dann können wir das hier verifizieren.
Ja.
Habe ich jetzt natürlich nicht nachgeguckt. Also ist mir nur eben nochmal ins Auge gefallen.
Ja,
schick auf jeden Fall Fotos krass von der Tourpräsentation.
Mache ich. Muss ich auch noch, ehrlich gesagt, morgen spontan einen Anzug kaufen, weil die Anzüge, die ich besitze, nicht mehr so ganz meinem Körpermaß entsprechen, weil die alle schon ein bisschen.
In welche Richtung?
Die sind mir viel zu groß, Paul, natürlich. Also,
ja, okay.
Ich glaube, den letzten Anzug, kann man sagen, habe ich mir noch zu aktiven Zeiten gekauft und da hatte ich ungefähr 15 bis 20 Kilo weniger, je nachdem.
Aber ich habe mal kurz, also das ist halt, wenn Leute halt immer noch sagen, ja guck mal, die fahren schneller als früher, ja, die fahren jetzt aber auch 3 Stunden weniger Radrennen am Tag. Weißt du, das
ja gut, es gibt
so viele Argumente.
Nein, der Vergleich liegt vorne und hinten, aber allein, wenn du dir das immer reinziehst, ganz ehrlich, das ist halt, auf die Idee wird ja keiner mehr kommen, außer beim Giro vielleicht, so eine Etappe zu machen, weißt du?
Echt wahr.
Alter, 7 Stunden, ja, obwohl das kann, also 32er Schnitt ist schon richtig langsam, ne?
32er Schnitt, ja. Die Alpe d'Huez-Etappe in derselben Tour de France, übrigens die Arcales-Etappe war Etappe 10 und Etappe 13 geht schon nach Alpe d'Huez hoch. Die hat nur 4000 Höhenmeter und 200 Kilometer und wurde auch mit einem 40er Schnitt in 5 Stunden gefahren und Pantani gewinnt. Und ich weiß nicht genau, aber könnte das, ich bin mir unsicher, aber könnte das der Alpe d'Huez-Rekord dann gewesen sein? Halt auch einfach nach 4,5 Stunden.
Ja, wahrscheinlich, ja. Wahrscheinlich, ja. Oh Mann.
Ja, also völliger Quatsch, wirklich. Ja. Mann, oh Mann. Was habt ihr euch eigentlich gedacht damals?
Ja, Alter, ja, nee, ist egal. Lass uns aber nicht anfangen.
Ja, ist
komplett absurd.
Okay, lass mal in diese neue Sportart reingehen. Straßenradsport nach 2008. Es ist nicht ultra viel passiert. Gibt irgendwie so ein paar Wechsel-News. Zum Beispiel, dass das Trek-Devo-Team jetzt dann die finale Zusammensetzung bekannt gegeben hat und dass es wirklich Niklas Behrens aus Bremen oder Bremer Umland geschafft hat. Hast du T-Shirt?
Ich habe ein T-Shirt mit Niklas Behrens jetzt.
Ah, geil.
Vielen Dank an Jannis an der Stelle.
Ja, das ist leider geblurrt.
Ich mach's. Uns wurde jetzt erklärt, wie man jetzt die Kamera einstellt beim neuen.
Aber jetzt mal eine kurze Frage. Diese T-Shirts, die Little Track da immer macht, kann man die irgendwo kriegen?
Das ist quasi, das kommt aus der Twitter-Bubble. Das kommt von der Twitter-Bubble. Man kann schon fast sagen, die Twitter-Bubble hat jetzt ihren ersten Profi-Aspiranten geboren.
Nein, aber jetzt trotzdem noch mal kurz. Aber die T-Shirts macht nicht Little Track, postet das so auch? Oder ist das irgendwie ein Fake-Account, auf den ich reingefallen bin? Das ist doch Little Track selber, die das posten.
Ja, die haben das, glaube ich, übernommen. Aber
Fahrervorstellungen posten die so, ja.
Genau, und also es gibt ja von Tayo das auch. Gibt es die also ganz ehrlich, wenn es die geben würde, würde ich kaufen.
Ja,
so ein Teil.
keine Ahnung. Also kannst ja.
Ja.
Ich kann mal anfragen bei Little Track, ob die das nicht jetzt für jeden Fahrer so machen wollen.
Ja, aber von wem hast du das Leak bekommen?
Aus der Twitter-Bubble habe ich das bekommen.
Ja, aber
die
das
haben mir das nach Hause geschickt.
Ja, ey, Leute, jetzt, also ohne Scheiß, Entschuldigung da draußen, aber ich brauche es mal kurz erklärt. Little Track gibt ja selber die Verpflichtung mit diesem T-Shirt auch
das haben die jetzt bekannt. Ab und zu mal gemacht, aber ich glaube, die T-Shirts wurden vorher schon mal so in der Art von
und
ein paar Accounts aus der Twitter-Bubble so zumindest mal designt.
Dieses T-Shirt mit Niklas Behrens wurde halt nach dem Vorbild von Little Track, weil die ja nicht das Devo-Team so announcen, erstellt. Ist jetzt
gut, weil die haben nicht übrigens jeden Fahrer, den sie verpflichtet haben, so Sam Omen, Traktor.
Aber niemanden aus dem Devo-Team.
Okay.
Es ist, glaube ich, wenn man sich mit Photoshop so rudimentär auskennt, ist es nicht so schwer, das nachzubasteln.
Natürlich ist es nicht so schwer, aber ich finde es auf jeden Fall gut. Ich finde das Milan auch gut und das Bagioli, muss ich sagen. Die sind auch
aber worauf ich hinaus will, Lidl Track, Devo-Team, Tim Thorn-Teutenberg, Louis Leidert, Niklas Behrens, gute Truppe für uns. für Deutschland.
In Deutschland.
Ja.
Ja.
Ist eigentlich jetzt eins meiner Lieblingsteams.
Ja, spannendes Projekt auf jeden Fall. Wird direkt auch richtig groß aufgezogen, das Devo-Team. Also ist nicht jetzt so eine halbe Sache. Also steckt ein guter Plan dahinter, wird viel Budget zur Verfügung gestellt und ist, glaube ich, auch so, wie man bei anderen Teams gesehen hat, auch einfach jetzt die Zeit, wo man als World Tour Team eigentlich nicht mehr drum herum kommt, ein eigenes Devo-Team zu haben. Also es geht ja jetzt bei manchen Teams schon weiter, dass schon bei den Junioren quasi eine Art Förderstruktur geschaffen wird, ob jetzt mit einem eigenen Team wie bei Bora oder halt mit Partnerschaften mit Vereinsmannschaften. Ja, aber auf jeden Fall spannende Geschichte bei Track. Nächstes Jahr erste Saison für die Nachwuchsfahrer. Gute Truppe, haben sogar schon Verpflichtungen für das Jahr danach bekannt gegeben. Also da ist Makel Irisa, ehemaliger Profi von Track, mit dem ich auch noch zusammengefahren bin, so der verantwortlich für die Mannschaft. Makel Irisa.
Ach so, ja. Der Baske, ja. Mikel Irisa, ja.
Hört sich alles ganz gut an. 3 deutsche Fahrer.
Let's see.
Aber ich habe mal kurz eine Frage. Ihr seid ja auch so ein Ding drin. Was passiert mit deutscher KT-Szene? Stirbt die jetzt langsam?
Wie kommst du drauf?
Auf die Zukunft gesehen mit den Devo-Teams von den World Tour Teams.
Ja, nee, ist aber so eine Frage. Also irgendwie so, ich weiß nicht, das Team, das Team Monique, das Bernd dann Stagiaire war, wie hieß das? Stork?
Ja. Stork Metropol.
Genau. Ich weiß nicht, also da gehen ja irgendwie 8 Fahrer weg, habe ich nur gesehen. Ja. Also habe ich so irgendwie, also ich habe eigentlich das Gefühl, dass es richtig vorangeht, sagen wir mal so.
Ja, es ist natürlich unheimlich schwierig für ein KT-Team mit einem Budget von einer World Tour-Mannschaft zu konkurrieren. Weil auch gerade der Anspruch für die U23-Fahrer in den letzten Jahren extrem gestiegen ist. Also der Trainingsaufwand, der da betrieben werden muss, ist ja eigentlich schon gleichzusetzen mit dem eines Profis. Und dementsprechend muss natürlich auch eine Voraussetzung dafür geschaffen werden. Das heißt, der Fahrer muss entweder die Möglichkeit haben, über eine Mannschaft oder über das Team genügend Trainingslager machen zu können oder die irgendwie selbst finanzieren können. Und ich sage mal so, die Budgets von den KT-Mannschaften, die lassen sowas eigentlich selten zu. Und ist natürlich auch kaum sichtbar, so eine Mannschaft. Also sind ja eigentlich alle abhängig von irgendwelchen Mäzen-Gönnern, die solche Mannschaften unterstützen, weil der Werbeeffekt, den man durch so eine Mannschaft erzielen kann, der ist ja eigentlich nicht vorhanden. Also das wird schon eine Herausforderung sein.
Zumindest wäre er nie in der Relation, dass es sich lohnen würde, die nötigen Summen zu investieren.
Also man muss da ja schon über einen hohen sechsstelligen Betrag sprechen, die man da braucht als Budget. Eher sogar einen siebenstelligen mittlerweile. Ne, weil als U23-Fahrer sind wir, glaube ich, noch nicht an dem Zeitpunkt, wo du es machen musst. Aber es geht schon in die Richtung, dass da auch Höhentrainingslager und so weiter gemacht werden,
Du fährst halt gegen viele Leute.
Da erfolgreich sein zu können.
Wisst ihr ungefähr eine Zahl, was ein Track-Team hat? Also ein Little Track, Devo?
Nee, kann man, glaube ich, nicht so pauschal sagen, weil da natürlich ein Budget vorhanden ist für letztendlich 3 Mannschaften. Ja, also es gibt ja das World Tour Team der Männer, der Frauen und das Devo-Team jetzt.
Ja, ich war.
Ja, also da wird das, glaube ich, so übergreifend rausgeschöpft.
Werden die Fahrer, also kriegen die ein richtiges Gehalt oder nur eine Vergütung? Also da ist ein Unterschied zwischen den beiden Sachen. Weiß man das?
Bei Jumbo weiß man es, glaube ich.
Ja, das variiert noch ein bisschen, würde ich sagen, zwischen, also Basti, ich würde es jetzt nicht vorwegnehmen. Also es geht natürlich auch in den Devo-Teams schon um Beträge, die im 5-stelligen Bereich sind. Und bei anderen Devo-Teams redet man dann eher noch von einer Aufwandsentschädigung, die man mit einem schlechten Ausbildungsgehalt vergleichen kann, würde ich mal sagen. Also ab 500 € monatlich.
Okay.
Aber das.
Also ich weiß nicht, ob es jetzt noch so ist, aber bei Jumbo war die Philosophie eigentlich bis vor einem Jahr oder was, wo ich das zuletzt gehört habe, dass man jetzt eigentlich nicht unbedingt mehr bekommen hat als in einem deutschen KT-Team. Aber dafür halt diese komplette Infrastruktur inklusive Haus und
also 250 €.
Einkaufen, ja, ich weiß nicht, 500 € oder was.
Das wäre ja ungefähr doppelt so viel wie in einem deutschen KT-Team.
Ja.
Wenn du Glück hast. Ja, ich glaube, da fängt das so an, ab 500 € monatlich und du hast halt aber dafür gar keine eigenen Kosten mehr im Radsport-Kontext. Ja? Also klar musst du noch irgendwie, wenn du nicht zu Hause wohnst, deinen Lebensunterhalt finanzieren, aber zumindest werden alle sportlichen Aktivitäten von Verschleiß, Material, Trainingslager etc., Reisen voll vom Team gedeckt. Das ist ja bei einem deutschen Kontinentalteam oder überhaupt bei Kontinentalteams in Europa nicht immer gegeben. Also es ist ja schon sehr viel selbstfinanziert, Eigeninitiative
halt
etc.
Du hast halt auch eine viel bessere Aufstiegschance, wenn du dich gut anstellst, ne? Wenn du schon in der Struktur bist und da reinpasst, dann denke ich mir ja auch, gut, okay, es ist jetzt erstmal wahrscheinlich von einem U23-Fahrer immer das höchste Ziel, gerade in so ein Devo-Team von einem World Tour-Team zu kommen. Aber in der Sicherheit, Profi zu werden, ist es ja auch nicht. Die können ja auch nicht alle übernehmen. Also
du kannst natürlich eine Entwicklung abschätzen, aber die kannst du nie vorhersehen. So, und letztendlich, also natürlich ist es von dem Fahrer das Ziel, in ein Devo-Team zu kommen, aber eigentlich suchen sich ja die World Tour-Mannschaften die Nachwuchsfahrer aus und entwickeln sie in diesem Devo-Team, das sagt ja der Name. Also eigentlich ist der Weg schon ein bisschen vorgeebnet. Natürlich, ne, du hast 15 Fahrer in so einer Mannschaft ungefähr, können dann nicht alle 1-2 Jahre 15 Leute Profi werden. Aber der Plan ist natürlich, die Jungs so zu entwickeln, dass die innerhalb dieser 4 Jahre maximal so weit sind, dass sie dann als Profi einsatzfähig sind. Und da fahren die Teams natürlich auch andere Strategien. Also bei FDJ sind es auch nur 1 bis 2, so, die vorgesehen sind, in Ausnahmefällen vielleicht noch ein 3. Jahr. Andere Teams sind dann ein bisschen langsamer oder ziehen die Entwicklung dann tatsächlich über 3-4 Jahre in der U23. Aber das ist auch meistens dann individuell, wie schnell reifen die Fahrer, ne, auf verschiedenen Ebenen. Also nicht nur physisch. Also du musst ja auch irgendwo bereit sein, mental so ein Profi-Dasein zu führen.
Remy Cavagna geht von Quickstep zu Movistar. Irgendwelche News zu Quickstep?
Also jetzt die Abgänge, die zum Beispiel Quickstep hatte, mit Cavagna und auch dem Florian Seneschal, das waren ja so Fahrertypen, die tendenziell eher so Helferrollen eingenommen haben bei Quickstep und die jetzt ja auch mit der Hoffnung gegangen sind oder zum Teil ja auch mit dem mit der Verabschiedung von Lefebvre, ja, okay, würde ich erstmal sehen, ob der überhaupt irgendwas bringen kann als Kapitän. Und anscheinend haben sie ja die Hoffnung, bei ihren neuen Teams da so ein bisschen mehr auf eigene Rechnung fahren zu können. Und ich glaube, zu Cavagna hat das Lefebvre auch gesagt, weil der sich gerne mehr Freiheiten bei den Klassikern gewünscht hätte. Und dann einfach gesagt haben, sehe ich nicht. Und dann kannst du auch gehen, wenn du willst. Also will ich dich nicht aufhalten. Muss ich sagen, sehe ich jetzt auch nicht. Zumindest mal bei Cavagna, bei den Klassikern, weiß ich nicht.
Ja, also selbst wenn, aber auch nicht in dem Team. Also wenn eine Chance besteht, dann aber auch nicht da, glaube ich. Weil es immer, ja, wir wissen doch mittlerweile auch, dass es ja mehr ist als einfach nur der Fahrer. Da brauchst du ja auch Struktur in dem Team und so. Das Thema, ne, ganz ehrlich, das haben wir mittlerweile so oft, jetzt auch bei der Roglic-Bora-Sache, wie wichtig eigentlich die Struktur und das Setup in dem Team selber ist und damit der Fahrer performen kann. Da kommen wir übrigens aus dem Thema, was ich gerne irgendwann nochmal behandeln wollen würde, Sprinter bei Bora.
Das ist auch eins meiner Traumthemen.
Ja.
Und trotzdem Motivation, weiterhin Sprinter, naja, egal. Juri Hollmann.
Ja, Juri Hollmann, können wir jetzt gleich nochmal drüber sprechen. Ich wollte nochmal dazu sagen, du musst eigentlich sagen, Sprinter bei Bora nach, wer war denn der letzte richtig erfolgreiche Sprinter bei Bora? Ackermann, oder?
Ja, Bennett.
Ja, Bennett war aber vor Ackermann da erfolgreich oder parallel.
Eigentlich Ackermann,
ne?
ja.
So. Man muss ja auch sagen, also,
gleichzeitig, oder?
Ja, was ist passiert, dass sie danach nicht, obwohl, also was willst du sagen, also Königsetappe des Sprints dieses Jahr hat Bora gewonnen.
Ist so. Beste Sprinter 2023.
Ja, aber ihr wisst ja, was ich meine.
Also. Ich glaube, also eigentlich ist ja nur Bennett, der beim zweiten Mal Bora jetzt nicht so erfolgreich war wie beim ersten Mal, oder?
Mhm. Ja. Juri Hollmann ist eigentlich einer, der die in Anführungszeichen Klassikerstruktur bei Movistar hätte auch mitbilden können, ist aber da nicht mehr unter Vertrag und jetzt Surprise bei Alpecin im Kader von 2024 aufgetaucht.
Ich find's immer so krass, wie Fahrer erfahren, dass sie nicht mehr in dem Team sind oder wie sie es eben nicht erfahren, sondern einfach nur durch die Behandlung ihres eigenen Teams quasi dadurch mitgeteilt bekommen, dass sie sehr wahrscheinlich keinen Vertrag mehr bekommen, aber eigentlich auch nie eine Antwort erhalten darauf. Also zumindest keine schriftliche oder mündliche, sondern einfach nur aufgrund dessen, welches Rennprogramm man hat und so. Das ist halt, da ist der Radsport, also ich weiß nicht, wie es in anderen Sporten ist, im Fußball oder also anderen Sporten, wo auch viel Geld im Umlauf ist, aber da ist der Radsport manchmal halt einfach nur so. Also da besteht halt zum Teil gar keine Sozialkompetenz, habe ich das Gefühl.
Das kann natürlich im Einzelfall vorkommen, aber ich würde jetzt behaupten, dass Fahrer, die wir in der Agentur unter Vertrag haben, relativ schnell wissen, wohin die Reise geht. Also dafür sind wir natürlich auch da, um das rauszufinden. Ne?
Dann liegt es vielleicht auch im Management, aber jetzt in dem einen Fall, ich kenne auch andere Fälle, weiß ich, dass das halt so. Bei mir war das damals auch so. Ich habe ja nie eine Antwort richtig bekommen. So war einfach.
Ja, also dass das vorkommt oder vorgekommen ist. Wie gesagt, glaube ich. Aber sollte nicht so sein.
Ja, natürlich.
Darum
geht es ja nicht, dass es nicht so sein.
Finde ich aber trotzdem ein guter Move, so, um da wieder darauf zurückzukommen.
Ja, das stimmt schon. Und es kam einem ja auch eigentlich die ganze Zeit so vor, als wäre es jetzt nicht die glücklichste Geschäftsbeziehung Juri Hollmann und Movistar. Ne? Also,
was ich glaube deswegen finde ich den Move auch gut, sehe, ist, dass Juri Hollmanns Fahrerqualitäten viel besser zur Geltung kommen bei einem Team wie Alpecin de Koenig. Und dass er da so ein bisschen nicht fehl am Platz war beim Movistar, aber er ist jetzt nicht der größte Bergfahrer und da ist schon Movistars Hauptschauplatz, so, ne? Irgendwie
USP.
Bei den Bergetappen der großen Rundfahrten. Und bei den anderen Rennen, wo Juri Hollmann eigentlich gut sein kann oder gut ist, spielt das Team insgesamt halt weniger eine Rolle.
Alright. Besenwagen has some first-timers still in 2023. We popped in Cardiff to welcome Luke Rowe on the first Besenwagen International in a normal episode. So, hi, Luke.
Hello. Thank you very much for having me. I think I should probably start by apologising. I mean, first of all, I was 30 minutes late. There was a car crash, and then the lane was closed, and then I finally arrived. And as you can tell, my technical skills aren't very good. So first of all, sorry, gentlemen, but thank you for having me.
But hey,
British people are so polite because usually we are late, so
yeah,
don't worry.
Yeah.
Germans, they're never late.
No, but we are always late. But
I already texted you like we are 5 to 10 minutes late.
Okay.
But usually when I listen to your podcast, yours and John Thomas ones, like he's the one who sounds really bad. Like he always sounds like he's sitting like in there with like a really shitty microphone in like a really big room with a lot of hell. But I thought you have you have good technical skills, but
No, I have terrible technical skills, and so does G. But we got given nice, expensive headphones and microphones, and he just can't be asked to travel with it. So his is always recorded off a phone with headphones. We get given the equipment for free, and he just always forgets his. So, but technically, no, we're both terrible.
But while we're speaking about your own podcast, just one question. So, like, we know from G that he's always either lying on the bed, on the couch, or on a massage bank. And you?
And you don't normally wear a shirt.
Yeah, it's true. You're always topless.
Do you know, I almost took my top off for this, and I thought, it's a bit of a tradition. First of all, well, everywhere I went was hot, so I took my top off. And then people started twigging onto it, so I thought, it's a tradition, fuck it, I'll just never wear a top for a podcast. So,
yeah, if you feel comfortable, just take it off. So you can't see it, but yeah, he does it now.
Do you know what? That feels better.
Yeah.
Now I'm ready to rumble.
Yeah. And now you look like yourself for me. At first, what I have to do first here is to give a big shout out to my mate Messerschmidt, who actually hit you up, I guess, inside a stage of the tour of Croatia, or afterwards,
it was just
or
directly after the final stage. He came up to me and he said, "We've got this podcast. A lot of my good friends run it. Would you be up for going on it?" I said, "Yeah, sure." So, yeah, cheers to that fella.
Yeah, Jonas Messerschmidt, KT Team, Santik Wiebertek. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonas. Good story, actually. I didn't know that.
No, I didn't know it either.
No, he texted me while racing there. Luke Rowe is here, and I think he's a cool dude. And I guess when I ask him, he won't say no. Yeah, go for it.
Maybe you're also becoming more famous now for your podcast, or start becoming more famous for it. That's the experience Paul and I had. When we started this podcast after our careers, it was like, okay, nowadays, like, you also had an active career. I didn't know that. I thought you were just doing a podcast,
Mate, people, they don't really... hang on, I'm just going to check my phone because it's gone to sleep. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I'm in a races and people shout what's occurring more than they do Luke. Or, I see signs with what's occurring and some of the words we say, and nobody ever... for the first 10 years of my career shouted my name, and now I hear what's occurring. So yeah, definitely, if you're not winning races, the next best way to get known is a podcast. But clearly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think you two, the two of you, Andy and Luke, you saw each other latest in the Tour de l'Avenir 2009, maybe.
Goes back a long time
sure.
already now. A long time.
But when did you turn pro?
In 2010. So
with Quickstep?
Yeah.
And how many years pro did you do?
My last year was 2015 already.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No, I remember racing you. Definitely Tour de l'Avenir, the first one. Maybe Deutschland Tour, maybe Tour of Berlin. Maybe we've seen each other in these races also.
Maybe. But I've looked it up. We didn't do that many races together as pros. I was a bit surprised in hindsight, but yeah.
Yeah, similar type of rider, similar, bigger guy, classics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But no, I did quite a lot with Vossi.
Yeah, we did quite a lot of races.
Bits and bobs.
Yeah, but I remember definitely your first tour of Britain with Sky back then.
Yeah.
When I was with Endura, that was like doing every day like a junior race. That was quite fun. Was a pretty uncontrolled,
you guys were
uncontrolled race.
And you had John Tyr unlocked, didn't you?
Yeah.
He was flying. Yeah,
that was a good year. Yeah, but you just said so. You never hear your name from the side of the road. But I can't believe that, because when you look back in the last maybe like 10 years, especially tour, let's say half the time was either you or Ian Stannard, and the first man to see in a bunch, because someone of you were riding the front. So I can't imagine that you haven't had fans before. Maybe not the French people, they maybe just throw pee at you, but I guess some Brits came over and said hi.
No, definitely. I think throughout my career, I've done a lot of that kind of work, and it's something that I've learned to love, and it's something that actually we do less and less now, obviously, with not having the success in the Grand Tours. But there was definitely a long period of my career where it was spent, riding on the front and with Ian Stannard so much. And when you ride in the front with someone and you're chopping off two of you and you're saying, how are you? How do you feel? Trying to get the most out of each other. But I rode the front so much with Ian that we got to the point we'd start riding. We wouldn't talk until we were dropped and our job was done. And I would know if he was on a good day. He would know if I was on a good day just by the body language. Like his right knee would start to flick out as he started to get tired. So yeah, we knew each other inside out, me and Stannard, and I think that was special years doing that job. When you look back, I took it for granted a bit, that success in the Grand Tours and definitely the Tour de France. But yeah, did it result in many fans? To be honest, I don't really care. It's a job. It's a hobby. It's something, the sport that I've fallen in love with, and I think I get credit for what I do. But if I didn't, it wouldn't bother me either way. But certainly the recent years is 100% more what's occurring fans than there is Luke Rowe fans. 100%.
Yeah, I think before we get to know you a bit better, I just have like a follow-up question. Because you just mentioned that was a big part of your career. Are you missing it to not riding the front anymore? And are you feeling lost at the moment sometimes in races, so that you just don't know what to do with yourself, really?
Yeah, the one thing I'd say is, so I didn't ride a Grand Tour this year. Had a few problems, this and that. But the previous 8 years, I rode the Tour de France, and 5 of the 8, when I was there, we won. So obviously that was the focal point of the season. It was always a massive build-up to the Tour de France. You do the classics, and then you turn the page, and it would be all eyes on the Tour de France. Going there with a big leader, doing the Tenerife camp, then Dauphiné Swiss, and then to the Tour. And that was such a focal point of the year, obviously. And you go there, you won that. And then after that, the second half, the last part of the season was kind of a write-off. Your job was done for the year. So I definitely missed the success in the Tour de France. And probably I didn't realise how special it was to win a Tour de France until you've gone 5 years without doing it. Because the first 5 years I went, we won every year. So it was like 5 from 5 in the first 5 years. And you took it for granted. And looking back, just that to play a small piece in that big puzzle and was very special. And to come onto the Champs-Élysées and just have a little bit of yellow on your jersey to represent your part of the winning team was, incredible. But now, do I miss? Yeah. Do I feel lost? No, I think there's lots of different jobs to do in the team, lots of different roles. We've got a lot of young riders, so I've got a look after a lot of them. So it's with time, things change. So I'm enjoying the new challenges.
Okay, normally I do this in the beginning when we have a guest, but let me introduce you a little bit. But I would say normally we have this is episode 241. And we nearly always have a guest, and normally the guest is German speaking. And I have to do an introduction because sometimes I don't know if the listeners really know the guest we have. But with you, I'm pretty sure you say you don't have so many fans, but I guess every second fan in Germany knows Luke Rowe and what he's doing.
Especially after the Tour de France 2019, I guess.
Yeah. Luke is 33 years old, is from Cardiff, where he's sitting at the moment. And he got European champion 2007 in Cottbus in the team relay on the track. And he's riding in his 12th season, I guess, for team now INEOS, before Sky. And he's been part of, he already said it, 5 Tour de France victories in 2015, 16, 17, 18. 15, 16, 17 was with Chris Froome. In 18, it was with Geraint Thomas. And in 2019, it was with Egan Bernal. There, he got disqualified. Maybe we can have a just small conversation about that. But also, Luke was, a pretty good classics rider. He got an 8th place in Paris-Roubaix in 2015, was 4th in Omloop 2017, in the same year 5th in Tour of Flanders, 3rd in Kuurne-Brussels-Kuurne, and 6th in Omloop in 17, and 6th in Dwars in 2019, which are pretty massive results. Yeah, that's for now. Maybe we can drive in a little bit of your classics career.
Yeah, sure.
So pretty massive results in the classics.
Yeah, I think there was a period of time where the team Sky, as it was then, was like 99% focused on the Tour de France and 1% focused on the classics, and they never really recruited like a big leader to go for the classics and try and win there. So it was kind of the cast-offs and the guys that were left over from the Grand Tours that were kind of thrown in the classics and hope for the best. And with that came opportunities, which I relished. I don't think I was ever a big leader or a guy who's turned up on the start line as a favourite or as one of the strongest, but I was a guy I knew the races well. I could put myself in a good position, right time, right place, and tried to, for say 3-4 years, do the best results possible. And I'm sure anyone who ever has ridden the classics will probably have the same excuses as I'm going to have, which was I had a lot of bad luck. But that's the classics. So it's not an excuse, it's the type of races that they are. But particularly in Roubaix, I think that's one race where I look back and I think there's a little bit of unfinished business. I would have wanted more out of that race. Tour of Flanders, I think I finished 5th, was my best result. I don't think, even if the stars aligned, I could ever really have improved on that. That was, I think, as good as I could have got in that race. Nieuwsblad, I got, I think, 4 top 10s over the years. Kuurne, 3rd in 1 year. So, I think I can look back at them years and be happy with what I've done. Now, in the last couple of years, I just, to be honest, I just can't race them finals. I'm not good enough. Or guys have got better, whichever way you want to look at it. But so the roles changed in the last few years, and it's more, normally I get assigned the job of being the leader's wingman. So at Flanders this year, for example, stay with Tom Pidcock from kilometre 0 until I die, and do that for as long as I can. So as the years go by, the first few years of my career, I'm helping other people. Then I had that middle period where I was, given the green light and given opportunities, and I, got a few nice results that I can look back and be happy about. And now the classics are all about, helping other guys, and we got a young classics team who, a lot of them don't really know the roads or the terrain, or, you guys know what it is. You have to know every left, right. You have to know the roads. So trying to give as much as I can in that aspect as well. So, yeah, it's changed over the time, but one thing that hasn't changed is the passion that I got for the races. They're fucking amazing. These races are special. As soon as you turn up for opening weekend, Nieuwsblad in Kern, there's something else about these races. You sense it straight away. You land and it's in the newspapers, and it's just exciting racing. I love them.
Was this is Roubaix 2015? Was this the year where Wigo wanted to win?
Yeah, that was the one. Yeah. Yeah. So he retired in the velodrome that day. Yeah. Professionally from the road, and it was actually, we were riding for him. It was my job to, let me get this right. I had to ride for Brad. We had Gabriel Rask riding for Eddie, and we had Bernie riding for someone else. So my job was to look after Brad. And in the end, we were with, I think there was 3-4 guys away, and then we were maybe in a group of 10 with me and Brad, in that chase group. And just the little kicker, 3K to go, whatever it is. I just jumped. He jumped away before that. He got caught. I jumped away, and me and one other come to the velodrome. So, yeah, I mean, it's a result that I'm quite proud of. If you look at, on paper, an 8th place is, it's not a win, it's not a podium, but it's a special race, and to get to the end of my career and say I finished top 10 once, I'll take it. I'm quite happy about that.
Yeah, totally. You rode with some complete legends like Wigo in these 12 years at Sky. You now are known for your relationship to G. But so, what do you remember about Brad? So, what was your relationship with him? Did you have some stories with him?
Yeah, I think to be honest, I was never super close with him. He was, when I joined the team, he was already like the superstar. I joined the team 2011.
He won the tour.
Yeah, 2012 he won the tour. But that year actually Tour of Britain. Obviously he was there, wasn't he?
I remember a lot of things with him, and like it was like, when I look back now, there were so many like weird and funny moments, especially with him and then Cavendish, and like just the whole shit talk which was going on all day between all of you in the team, and then also towards us. It was just like, yeah.
Yeah, it was Oh, hello. Alfie. Daddy's doing work.
So when daddy's topless, it means he's working.
Yeah. You know what they're like at that age. They won't leave you alone. Yeah. But no, that was that Tour of Britain in 2000. That Tour of Britain in 2012 was pretty big for me, because I joined the team. I was neo pro. Brad had just come direct from the tour. Cav had come direct from the tour. Cav had won 5 stages, I think. Brad's won the thing overall. And then I'm on the start line of Tour of Britain with them. And then I won the first stage of the race and took the yellow jersey, only because coming into the last corner, I was the last lead-up man for Cav. And I go in like 3rd or 4th wheel, and I see a look behind, and everyone had crashed. So that's how I won the first stage, but you got to take it. But it was, it was crazy getting on that bus and being at Tour of Britain with these guys who, they were up here and I was down here. But they, that week we had such a laugh. Such a laugh. It was...
And man, I remember how Wigo waited on the climb, turned around, drove down the hill again to wait for Cavendish.
Do you know why he did that?
Yeah, he did that.
Yeah, but do you know why?
Yeah, because he was pissed or not? Or not?
Because he was angry.
Yeah, because he was angry, yeah.
Do you know why he was angry?
No, I don't know.
So I think it was like maybe halfway through the race, and Jez, Hunt, and Bernie went to we all went to the pub, to the bar in the evening, and at a certain point, most of us went to bed, but Jez and Bernie stayed there, drinking all night. The next morning, Bernie, like perfect professional, got up. You wouldn't have even known he'd been drinking, you know. But Jez was just dead, like dead. We had to drag him onto the bus, and then he got on the bus. We had the meeting before the race. He slept the whole meeting, and then we got on the race, and we had the jersey, so we had to pull. Jez was like completely banana, and then we went up this hill, and the race exploded. Basically, we were just shit.
Yeah,
and we were all a bit hungover.
Yeah, because we took it on at that point. I remember that when it happened there.
And he was just pissed because half the team was hungover, and then he turned around to like make a show and all a bit stupid. But we had a good week. But I think with Brad in particular, you know, I never had a super close relationship with him, but you know, he was always quite honest with me. He was always, I think he appreciated the work I did for him. He was always a nice guy. I can't say anything bad about him, but I wouldn't say he was a guy I was, you know, super close with. But I think he was. He got to the point where he was, certainly in the UK as well. After 2012, he was almost, not for long, but for a couple of years, he was also bigger than just cycling. He was, you know, he won the Tour de France, which was first British winner ever in a British team. Then 2 weeks later or a week later, he went to the Olympics, won the Olympic time trial. Yeah. And then what else is quite big that you guys might not know, he won BBC Sports Personality of the Year. It's just an award, but it's quite high profile.
Yeah.
He won that all in 1 year, and suddenly he went from just being a cyclist to being like a celebrity. So I think that was, I don't know, maybe I'm speaking on his behalf, but he went from, you know, just a cyclist to very high profile.
Yeah.
So in that time you became near pro. Like, how was it? I mean, like in Germany when we became near pro, it was really negative because like the whole past doping, all this shit, you know, like you couldn't really, or like at least I didn't say I was a professional, or I tried to avoid it. How was it in the UK? You were like, was it a different level? I mean, like probably not like football. I guess the football players were still bigger than you guys, but
yeah.
It must have been crazy. I mean, I was with Endura back then, so I felt it a bit, but I guess it was far away from that what you guys experienced.
Yeah, there was definitely a big buzz around the sport, because also that year I turned pro, 12 was also not just the success that they had there that we spoke about, also on the track. In the home Olympics, they won everything on the track as well. And there was, for a couple of years, there was a huge buzz around the sport in general, any aspect of it. And people learned quickly what, the different riders, the teams, and there was a lot of interest around the sport. But in terms of the doping and the history, I think there's not a lot changed really. I think people will. Well, let's make sure I say the right thing here. But people, the general public, if they're just, a lot of people don't know anything about cycling at all, and all they know is, cycling, Lance Armstrong, drugs, and then people will always stay the same, and that is what it is. But for the people who understand cycling and follow cycling, I think they've seen quite a generational change, and I think. When I first turned pro was maybe at the start of the clean era, at least I'd like to think.
Yeah.
In the 2000s, still like 7, 8, 9, 10, the back end of them years, I'd say there was still some pretty bad era to be a part of. But I think when the blood passport came in, it changed a lot. And I think I'm lucky that when I turned pro was like a new generation and kind of change in mentality. So I'm lucky that
changes in cycling.
Yeah, and I feel quite lucky that I didn't have to deal with that shit side of the sport and have to go through all that. I still, at the same time, the way that we were treated some years in the Tour de France was fucking horrible. Like when Froome, basically, if when we started to win the Tour and then win the next year and win the next year, the French public just hated it. And honestly, sometimes it was horrific. Like we had security guards come with us for the race, and like you said at the start, I think Paul, you said like piss thrown at you, punched on the bike. That was because they thought we were doping because we were winning every year. So whilst there has been a generational change, there's still you still feel the effects of what's happened 20 years ago or whenever it is now.
Yeah, you got a lot of hate for the Skytrain.
But also I look back and I do understand. At the time I didn't, but now when I look back, I understand a little bit because fuck me, it was boring, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, of course.
it was effective.
Yeah.
It was effective. We won. And it was, if you have the strongest team and the strongest leader, just ride on the front all day, get to the climb. The climbers do the same, and you ride off and you win. And if you have the yellow jersey, how do you if you're racing a team like that, who has the yellow jersey, how do you race against that? It's so hard. It's so hard to race against. But I can see why it was hated because it was boring.
Yeah.
But it was successful. So
I mean,
is what it is.
you have, Sky back then has changed cycling massively, like when they started 2010.
Yeah.
And I've said it so often here, I think in the podcast also, how people, just as has been yesterday, Milan-San Remo 2010, everyone like just riding with like massive rain jackets and like, like riding like we're going for a training ride. And then there's coming these new teams, Sky, with like 5 guys behind each other in skin suits with like 80 mil wheels, and they sound like like in a team pursuit, on the track. And everyone else is just like on not thinking about aero bikes and whatever, So there you could always see like a big thing, then like all this whole turbo trainer stuff and so on. So, cycling from that point on changed. But I think you have played cycling through for like 5-6 years. But then it was also interesting to see that other teams stepped up massively. And then you could really see like suddenly there started a struggle, Like, it felt like a bit.
No, definitely. I think there was, when the team started, I'd say it took a year or two to find their feet. And then it all happened really quick and we were doing things, we were innovative, we were a step ahead of the game. We, even something small like, I remember 2012, Pays Vasco, I finished the stage and I got on the rollers. And I remember 3 guys from Movistar rode past me and laughed.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, dickheads. 6 months later, they were on the rollers. Just something small like this, And little things like this. And we were, for a good period of time, and I'm not being big-headed, I'm just saying it as it is. For a big period of time, we were the best team in the world in the Grand Tours.
Yeah.
By quite a margin. And then there was this period where like they was close with a lot of teams, and now definitely there's a few teams who have passed us. And it's we were the hunted team for a long time. Like whoever is in the top, everyone is hunting them down, right?
Yeah, for sure. Now
that's Jumbo. And we've gone for the hunted to the hunters. So now they're at the top and they're winning everything. But they're even better than we were. Because they win everything all year.
Yeah.
They win classics also. They dominate the classics. Like we only really dominated Grand Tours. And a lot of the times, only really the Tour de France. We won a lot around it. But like Jumbo win everything. So now, when you're at the top, to get to the top is hard. But to stay there is even harder.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that we as a team managed to do for the best part of 10 years. Now, it's changed
But-
and it's Jumbo and UAE, and we got to hunt them down.
But
Simple as that.
I think this also brings some character to a team. Like, so it's like this dominating team is there for a few years and then it has to restructure. And I thought it was super cool and sympathetic when you started to turn up at the classics with Kwiato or even Carapaz. And suddenly you were there and were bringing some action to the classics or to other races. And this started when this whole Grand Tour thing wasn't so sure anymore. And now you are in a I'm curious what comes next.
To be honest, I think we're in a bit of a transition period. Like you say, the identity of the team has been Grand Tours and nothing else. With that comes Dauphiné and Swiss and Pyrenees, terrain or whatever, but is Grand Tours. Now it's a transition period where basically at the end of the day, if you haven't got one of 4 guys in your team, you can't win a Grand Tour. If you haven't got Roglic, Vingegaard, Remco or Poggi, if you haven't got one of them in your team, it's pretty fucking hard to win. G almost did it in the Giro, okay. But now, in going into 2024, I struggle to see who can even get close to them. So, it's hard. And I think one thing a lot of people forget is our guy who we backed as a team to go toe-to-toe with these guys, our long-term plan was Egan Bernal. He'd won the Tour, the next year won the Giro, and they signed him as a 3-year-old. They signed him 5 years. We had Chris Froome, we had Geraint Thomas. He was the next guy.
Everybody thought so.
Before that we had Brad. So he was the guy who was supposed to lead the team, and we would go to the Tour and we would try and win with him. And he signed next year in the January. He crashed and had this horrific accident, and he's lucky to even ride his bike. So now that leaves us in a situation where, in the horse races, the horse that you back is coming back from a serious injury. So, and also, let's be honest, he's getting paid the salary of the guy who he was, and the guy who hopefully he can become again. So I think people also forget is that the guy we backed had a horrific accident. So this adds to the transition.
Yeah. What was your most emotional Grand Tour in? Or with who? I mean, you won a few with Froome, then I guess maybe the one with G. I don't know.
Yeah, I have to say the one with G. I think, we grew up as kids together. Literally 8-10-year-olds playing on the street and riding BMXs. That's how young we were. And to think that we go from there, we pass through the categories, through the under-23 academy, blah, 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 turn pro together. He wins the Tour de France and I ride next to him. It's pretty crazy story. So that's the most special. And also, I think the way he celebrated that year, I said, if you have success in the classics and then you go to the Tour, the last 2 months of the year is whatever. Man, it was like this. Me and him, we went together the whole time. So we celebrated big, which was amazing. We had fun, and everything we did was just drinking, partying. It was a lot of fun for a long time. So that whole package, I look back on it with fond memories. And all our friends were there. All our friends from Cardiff and Wales came over, and it was probably number one.
Sounds good.
Have you ever thought of changing the team?
Yes. Well, yes and no. Yes and no, but in the end it was always no, because there was there was just no reason for me to leave. I didn't want any more opportunity for a personal self than what I had. The option to race the classics for myself was always there if I was good enough. And then in the Grand Tours, I was a domestique. And what better team to ride for than the one that was winning them? So there was never really a reason. There was a few times discussions. There was a few times serious options on the table, but it was always, for me, not worth it. It was a British team. I know all the riders. I know all the staff. A lot of them are more than just colleagues. A lot of them are genuine friends. So there was never a reason to leave. And there was only once or twice where, you know, a serious offer came in and it was like, consider it, but not for long.
Can you tell us?
One was with when Greg Van Avermaet went to CCC. When he went to CCC. Okay. And they needed a guy to help him in the classics. And that was, if you think then, he was really the king of the classics. So that was one that was quite serious. What was another one? Saxo Bank. That was a long time ago. Mm-hmm. That was actually after 2 years pro. And some of our staff had gone there and they said, listen, they're interested, and if you're interested, we can definitely put something together. And then again, wasn't. But more recently, there hasn't been that much interest or options, because trying to persuade another team that you honestly want to leave is so hard, because they say, he's never going to leave. There's no point even talking to him. He's just going to waste our time. So in the last half of my career, it was just re-sign with Sky, INEOS, quite long term. Each contract has been quite long, and just stay put. There's never been much negotiation.
Yeah. Let's go in some side questions. If you had to choose another sport where you would be professional in, would it be football, rugby, or poker?
Football, poker, yeah.
Yeah.
Poker or rugby. Football, I think, is just a bit. The way they go down on the floor and mess around pisses me off. Rugby, good sport, like it a lot. Poker, I play sometimes, I enjoy it. Probably you can have good fun with poker. I go poker.
But you guys are so passionate about rugby, that's unbelievable. Sometimes, I mean, you're doing a tour or whatever, big, like, bloody race, and then the only thing you're talking about is like some rugby game somewhere in the world, which you have to watch in the middle of the night or something.
Somewhere in the Commonwealth.
Somewhere in the Commonwealth.
Yeah. But I think Wales is one of the few countries where rugby is the number one sport. That's quite rare. Everywhere is football, right? Everywhere, by a big gap. But I think in Wales is actually rugby number one.
Yeah, it's a good sport.
So
I actually went to see a rugby game last week. So
really,
the World
on
Cup
TV, yeah. I wasn't there in the stadium, but I went to a pub with Gerard Ciolek. He's also a big rugby fan.
Okay.
But just a question: I have the feeling there's like every year. Is every year the World Cup, or is it every 2 years?
Every 4.
Yeah.
Seriously, I have the feeling every year you guys talking on social media about Rugby World Cup. So like that.
No.
Maybe there are other like championships as well. Then I guess. But
there's lots of different competitions, but the World Cup is the big one.
Okay. Do you speak Welsh?
No, strange language. It's like strange people speak it.
Okay, because there's like
no.
So in we make like a German part before we start to speak to you, and there I said like my experience with Welsh people is from like the tour of Britain, actually finishing on this like circuit, where we're doing like this steep climb, where always your brother was there running around with his ass out, and then finish down there. Anyway, there some old Welsh man came towards us and spoke with us, but we couldn't understand him until a Welsh staff came, and then it sounded just like two really drunk men talking to each other.
He probably was drunk.
But I know that our staff wasn't drunk. But it's like such a horrendous language, and also like the signs, the road signs you have. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Can you read it?
No, but I know what they mean. But it's in Cardiff. It's not spoken so much, but in up the north, or north and the west is spoken a lot. And if you walk into a pub or a restaurant or wherever, the first language they speak is Welsh. But it's it's a real strong language, like really hard to understand. Really, strange. But no, I don't speak any. We did some in school, but you do one lesson, 1 hour every 2 weeks, and it was just the lesson that everyone messed around in, But no, my Welsh is 0.
But how much time are you actually spending in Wales?
Less and less. Maybe 6 weeks a year. Not a lot.
Yeah.
So it's
not a lot.
So basically the off season and then some time in between.
Yeah, off season, a week for Christmas. I'll come back for a week after Roubaix, just to reset, see the family.
Yeah.
But no, less and less. I think, honestly, there's too many distractions here, and I try and stay on it, and then I just go off on a mad one, and I just can't help it. It happens every time. Every time, my friends wow, there's too many people who want to catch up, And I've got so many good friends here, and Luke's back. Let's do this. Let's do that. Yeah, let's go. And yeah, it just ends up in tears. It doesn't end good. So I just try and stay away as much as possible.
So you're based in Monaco?
Yeah, I'm in Monaco. And also now my eldest son is in school there.
Okay.
So it's hard to take him out. They're quite strict with it. So we, less and less.
One of the few guys left in Monaco.
Yeah, there's not many, man. When I moved, there was a lot. Now there's, I would say, 20 riders left only. But they brought in some new rules and to get residency, and it's a bit crazy now. But
it's more expensive. Even more expensive.
Yeah, even more expensive. Yeah, it's crazy.
But do you think it's also because cycling changed a bit? And let's be honest, Monaco is not the best area to train. I mean, there are better places in Europe, And do you think it plays a part to it that a lot of young guys now they let's say Remco, for example. I don't see him in Monaco, but I see him in Andorra in a few years.
No, it's true. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think that's one of the reasons I quite like it, actually, because I see a lot of the young guys in Andorra, and they're in a house or an apartment, and they wake up, they train, they come home, they sit on the sofa, they go to bed.
Yeah.
And it's just every day, crazy. And I actually like that I'm in a city, I can go and train, I can come back, I can see the family, I can get out, get a coffee, see some friends. And I that's the type of lifestyle I need. And someone might look at that and think in an unprofessional way, but I think actually the opposite.
Yeah.
I think if you live a good balanced lifestyle on and off the bike, as a result, you're going to get a long career out of it. And honestly, I see the young guys now and I think, fuck, in 5 years, you're done. How can you live like this? And I can honestly say at the end of my career, my goal is to get to the end of my career, look back and say, I was successful enough in what I did. I achieved what I could at this level. I was happy, but I had fun and I enjoyed that. And I fear that a lot of the guys turn pro now will go, I was very successful. They'll achieve a lot, but they get to the end of their career and they go, I actually didn't enjoy that. I hated the last 10 years. And I think a lot will be in that situation.
Maybe fun for them is different than to us, because they don't know it. They don't know.
If you don't know it, if you don't know, you don't know what you're missing.
Going out during a stage race, for them, it's impossible to think about it,
Yeah. But what I try to say to them is like, actually, I don't say it to them, but it's also not about going out or drinking or doing crazy things. It's just day to day. A lot of them don't look happy. They're on the bus and they're not just my team now. Like, actually, in my team, there's a pretty good balance. But some of the young guys, I just see they're so engrossed in the sport that there's nothing else. There's only cycling. And they wake up, they ride their bike, they come back, and in the spare time, they're watching cycling videos, looking at the training, looking at the race schedule, and it's like, boys, like, yeah. I don't know, it's just my opinion. And I hope they're all happy and I hope they are all successful. But from what I see, because in the last few years, just like it's been a big change, and this new generation it all seems very intense and full on.
Yeah, I see that.
Maybe we'll see some of the heaviest midlife crisis in 10 years.
That's the scary thing. Maybe I hope not. I hope not.
They're too young to have it in 10 years. It will be in 20 years.
True. Because in the 28,
yeah, it's early midlife crisis then.
But
I mean, maybe we see a lot of guys like in football, then they start their real life in their early 30s, and it's a big shock for them, because then it's not all about aerodynamics and watts, Then they think, what's occurring here in real life?
You're now 33. Like, how many more years you want to do? I mean, G just so we just talking about G all the time. It's Sherwin Thomas, just to explain. So he just signed a contract for 2 more years. After the back and forth, it always feels like there's like a big hustle, but you never really have the feelings that he really wants to leave. So at least it's the feeling from the outside. So what's with you? Do you still have a contract for next year or for the next years? And what are your own goals for the next years?
So I would like to do 2 more years, and then that'll be my last 2. So I'm gonna do 2 more and stop. Nothing's announced yet. I've signed something somewhere, but it's not announced. So I've got 2 more years, and then for me, that's the last contract. So that'll be, I think, 14 years, and that's the decision I made. Just say now that's definitely going to happen. Like you said, you already spoke about Monaco. I have to move back from there. We got school, we got things to think of. I've got to think of the family and make sure, everything's in place for them. So, and also I'm happy with that, I don't want to just keep riding. I'm happy to turn the page and do something new. Obviously the money you can make in cycling is better than what I could do somewhere else, but also I'm not afraid to work. I'm not scared of getting my hands dirty. I'll do whatever I have to do. It's not that I'm precious like that. So, 2 more years, and then try something else.
But you have goals for yourself, or it's just like really 2 more years trying to be part of a Grand Tour and hopefully Grand Tour winning team, or?
Yeah, 2 more years, and in terms of goals of myself, being successful myself, no, 0 goals. But in terms of being successful and supporting others at a high level, yes. Like this year was the first year I didn't go to a Grand Tour. Next year, I wouldn't be satisfied with that. And it was a conscious decision I kind of made to to actually be a domestique. It didn't just happen. It got to a point in my career where the first few years I really tried to win races, like most people do. You turn pro, what you want to do? You want to win. You don't turn pro and say, okay, I want to be a domestique for 15 years. So I tried to win, and it soon became apparent I couldn't win. Maybe if I focused purely on that my whole career, I could win one race a year. But nobody gives a shit about that, to be honest. Teams aren't going to, chase guys like that. So right, if I can be a domestique, I think I can do it, and I think I can do it in the Grand Tours. But then I said, if I'm going to go down that route and try and do that, then I want to be the best I possibly can at that role, and try and be the best in the world at that role. Don't just settle for mediocre. So I aim quite high, and I looked at who the best were and what type of guys they were, who were the best domestiques at the time in the past 10 years, and I went on a mission to try and do that. And, there was a lot of guys who'd done it a lot better than me, but I think I've basically made my career around that. Yeah. Like the results you said in the classics, nobody's ever going to say, oh, Luke Rowe was good in the classics. They're going to say, oh yeah, Luke Rowe, he rode the Tour de France and he won it a couple of times with some blokes. Yeah. So, yeah. And I think the next 2 years I want to continue that. I don't want to go to Tour of Britain and Tour of Croatia and be a helper there. I want to go to Giro, Tour of Welter and do some cool shit there. So, yeah, still got... I want to go out with my head held high. Like, I signed the contract. I could just do whatever the next 2 years. What difference does it make? But I want to... Yeah, go out and make the most out of the next 24 months.
So the last serious question from my side now is like, because you just said like you want to be the best at your job. So, I mean, our listeners know that like, of course, Pogacar and so on, they all have to do altitude camp, all this shit, like wedding the food. I don't know if Pogacar actually does that, but like, we know you have to do that. So like, does it mean now, as like cycling has evolved so much, that you have to do the same? So like, you have to go the same road as like the leaders, just with the difference that those guys are able to ride a kilo more on.
Yeah,
like.
I think definitely the altitude side of things is something I have to do, and it's something that I don't enjoy. I hate it, but I think that's something I've got to do, and I have done, and I'll have to continue to do. Weighing the food, I said, is something I'll never do. I'll retire before I weigh a meal. I've never weighed a meal in my life, and I never will. Is what it is. For my job, I think I have to be, for any job, for any role in the sport, of course you have to be in good shape, you have to be lean. If you're carrying fat around, it's not good, whatever, everyone knows that. But if I'm 500 grams more, 500 grams less,
it makes for you no difference.
It's not going to change anything. Yeah. If it goes uphill and they go fast, I'm getting dropped. Yeah. That's the end result. So, I don't. Yeah, it's not good for my head. I can't be arsed with that. I'd rather just. I can see what I'm eating. It's okay. But I said I'll retire before I weigh a meal. Right or wrong, I don't know. But that's the way it is.
Okay, your career comes to an end, and you can choose a job, whichever job you want. Like, what would be your dream job?
Poker player.
Poker player.
A real job. What
a real job.
Luke have become if he wouldn't have become a cyclist?
I already had it lined up a little bit. Join the fire service.
Yeah,
I've always been.
I can see you there. I wouldn't be surprised.
I can see you in a calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey ho. But there's also they get paid pretty well, pretty good. And the way they do it in the UK, I don't know if it's the same in Germany, is 4 days on, 4 days off. 4 on, 4 off, always. I think that's quite a good way of doing it. 4 days you can enjoy, 4 days work. It's a bit physical. no way in hell could I sit behind a desk. Not for no chance. I can't sit still for an hour, so definitely nothing a desk job. But yeah, maybe a firefighter.
Cool answer. I like it.
You can also go a lot of times topless as a firefighter, I think.
That's where the calendar connection came for me. I already wrote in our notice here some funny stories. I guess maybe we can talk about 2 of them or stuff at the end. But one turned out not to be so funny as I expected. Because when I told the guys, hey, I got Luke Rowe's number and he's coming on the show, they said, let's ask him about the bachelor party. And I thought, fuck, that's going to be a cool story, but I didn't know.
No, we also didn't think about it as a funny story, but it marks it's a big thing in your career, right? Yeah,
definitely. It was... I mean, honestly, it could have ended my career.
Yeah.
Really, really could have. And also, it's the only funny thing I find with that is, so what happened was we went whitewater rafting in the morning and jumped into water that was more shallow than I thought it was, basically. And I landed in shallow water that I thought was deep. Broke my leg, but obliterated my leg. And then when I came back and you see the different guys at races, the different stories that I heard from what happened was incredible. People were saying, so how tall was the bridge? I said, what do you mean? You jumped off the bridge in the water. What the fuck are you on about? And then people said, you got run over by a boat. And you know the way that people, Chinese whispers, and some of the stories.
Yeah, but honestly, I think people who know you, if they hear that, it really just happened, by accident, really no stupid thing.
Yeah.
I think in the first moment it's hard to believe, I guess.
Especially when it's on a stag do. As soon as you say stag do, it's like,
oh, come on,
yeah.
Yeah.
But I have to say, so this was 2000, I don't know, whatever, 17, 18. So it's in Prague in Czech Republic, and credit to Dave Brailsford. So I'm in a hospital. The hospital was a shithole. It was really old, and I was looking around, scared. Honestly, I was scared. I was there. Me and my dad they didn't speak much English. We didn't speak any Czech, and I'm thinking, what is going to happen here? All they're saying is it's broken and it's really bad. So I said, right, Dad, call Dave, let me speak to him. And he just said, Luke, you're one of our own. We'll look after your own. You're one of our own. We'll always look after our own. I don't care how you did it or what happened. Just know we've always got your back. And I was like, wow. Straight away, he didn't even want to know what happened. He just said, we'll find out what the problem is and we'll fix it and go. So that was straight away, put my mind at ease. And then the rehab was really intense, actually. It was the busiest 6 months of my life. Once I could start to move, my wife was driving me everywhere. I was doing swimming, walking in the pool, gym, rowing, core. It was just full gas.
Yeah.
But it was a strange situation. It was like the scenario. It was like a freak situation, but of course it was my fault, and you live with the consequences. But live and learn.
Yeah, I remember when I read the news, because when you hear some terrible news, then it's sometimes you feel it even more, especially when you know the guy, And I can still remember when I saw it, and I just read leg broken several times, and I was like, whoa, fuck.
Yeah, because it was broken when I got back to Cardiff and I seen the doctor. I said, just tell me, how bad is it? And he said, like, how many breaks have I got? And he said, well, I got to 25 and I stopped counting. And I was like, oh, fuck. And he said, I said, and with cycling, he said, there's a chance you'll never ride a bike again. And I was like, and then I was just on my own. It was me and him. And he said, there's a chance you'll never ride a bike again. I said, fuck. And then he spoke for 2 minutes and he left. And I remember I just sat there on my own. I just started crying. And that moment where you're, I don't know, 26, 27, in a hospital bed, your legs just covered in, in the cast. It's like your passion, your job, your career, your livelihood, it could all stop right here, right now because of this accident. It was like, scary. But I said, all right, fuck it, I'll prove you wrong. And here we are. So, yeah, scary time, but it's what it is. I'm all right now.
So that was the first of the 2 funny stories we want to ask
What's
you about.
What's the next one?
Yeah.
Maybe we can get to some real fun stuff, because I actually tried to find out some stories about Luke Rowe, because we didn't really had that much contact in the last few years, but I know a few guys that you train with in Monaco. But
Okay.
I have to say they're very loyal friends.
Who'd you ask?
They say like, I can't tell you, and I won't tell you the good stories about Luke Rowe, because what happens in Monaco stays in Monaco. Apparently, it's like
Legends.
that. But I just know one thing, that is, you guys have a WhatsApp group called the Four Musketeers.
You have got some inside knowledge.
And
Okay.
you made caps for them because you're a big
Yes.
fan of caps, apparently.
Mate, I live in caps. So, well, I haven't got one on now, but normally always. That's me, Michael Valgren, Sam Bennett, and Caleb Ewan. So I reckon the person you spoke to is definitely Michael.
Yeah.
Because Caleb never replies to anyone, and Sam
I know that.
is useless, and Sam's a bit useless as well. So yeah, we set up a group a long time ago, but we trained together a lot. Sam less so. He's really specific. He has to do 3 times 9-minute efforts on blah blah. He's really specific, but me and Caleb train together pretty much every day, and I got caps made, custom caps with 4 Musketeers written here. But we've had a lot of good times together, us 4, and also the 4 wives are really close. We've all got children now, so good bunch of guys, and I think guys who, again, you got people you train with, people that you work with, but who are colleagues and people you know. But these 3 guys in particular, they're genuine friends that I think post-career I'll still definitely spend a lot of time with.
Yeah. No, but really, he didn't tell me anything that I could now,
Good.
gossip around. But the only thing he said, it's impossible to go on a ride with Luke Rowe without stopping for a coffee.
Mate, I can't remember the last time I went out on the bike and didn't stop for a coffee. Every ride. It's like, if I got home and I didn't stop for a coffee, would feel like, I don't know, feel like I had an affair on my missus. It just feels wrong. It's just something you have to do on a bike ride. Every ride, even if it's 1 hour or 6 hours. If it's 6 hours, you need at least 2 stops. And also, the way I do it with food, maybe it's a bit old school. I never really take food in my pocket. I never take
That is old school.
yeah, but it's so good. I never take a bar or a gel. And if training, it's horrible. But I take nothing, and if I do 5 hours, just stop after 3 and have proper sandwich or something proper, not just a small cake.
Yeah.
So if you do 5 hours, stop after 3, have some good sandwich, and do 2 more, go home. So, yeah, cafe stops. They're mega. It's true. Every ride.
We're about the same age. You know, we had the same education in pro cycling.
Yeah, great.
So I have to tell you left some wrong impression on Kim Hajduk, because he told me you were in a training camp and you didn't want to stop. And Leo Hater, I guess, or Ethan Hater, Leo Hater wanted to take a piss and you didn't want to stop. And then you played some games on him and hid behind a wall while he was coming back.
There's a video on Instagram. It's the most watched video I ever made. It's got a couple of million watches. But actually, this was... So we get to Mallorca training camp, right? And say we go for like 5-hour ride. So I love to stop at the calf, but I hate to stop along the way. So if we do 5 hours... then it should take like 5.5 hours. It's 5 hours on the bike and half an hour in the calf.
Yeah.
Bam. So, but with these guys, we say we have 5 hours. After 20 minutes, they say, okay, we stop for a piss. And then after 1 hour, we stop and get bottles and get food. And the 5-hour ride takes 7 hours. You're out all day. It's like, fuck. Just... When you leave the hotel, the next time we stop is at the calf. And then after the calf, the next time we stop is at the hotel. So, yeah, I said, you want to stop for a piss after 20 minutes, just do it before you leave the hotel.
Yeah.
So, that's like a bit of the both story with Kim. But this video was great. So with Leo Hater, he stopped behind... He said, no, I want to stop for a piss. And then I just said, anyone can stop any time for a piss, but you just chase. The group isn't going so hard, you know? So he stopped for a piss, and then we went like 1K, and I seen this like wall. I said, okay, everyone stop. We hid behind the wall, crouched down, and he went past like 60k an hour behind the car. And everyone has the GPX, you know, so they know the way we're going. And then he went past 60k an hour. We came back, riding easy, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And I messaged the DS who's driving the car. I said, we hid behind the wall. Just keep taking in full gas as far as you can. Just keep going. Go. So he's behind the car, 5, 10, 15. But so stupid, no? Because... if you go 60k an hour, you know you're going to catch them in 2 minutes, no? And he did 30k behind the car trying to catch us. So I taught him a lesson.
Yeah, it was a good session for him.
Yeah. I mean, you know, on these big straight Mallorcan roads that you ride along 35k an hour, when on the car you do 60.
Yeah.
So you know for sure within 3-4 minutes you catch the group. This guy just did 30k.
So you're friends again?
Oh yeah, I love the guy. Leo Hater, legend. That was just a normal day out. That's all part of the fun, isn't it?
Nice. All right. To leave this podcast, last thing is we actually didn't do it for a long time, but I think, or Andy also thinks with you it could be fun. We have a thing called Rider Bingo.
Okay.
And it's 2 questions. The first question is like, when you ride a race, or which colleague, which other rider do you like enjoy to meet? Not in your team, maybe. Like, who is a cool guy in the peloton you are every time happy to meet?
Any one of the Musketeers.
Yeah, okay.
4 best mates riding for 4 different teams. If one of them is in the race, is always nice, and I always spend a lot of time with them.
Okay, and who is a complete dickhead?
There's lots. There's a long list. There's a long list.
In 12 years, the list gets longer and longer.
Yeah.
Most of them. Most of them are German, actually.
Difficult to ask this to young riders because they are always very shy.
Okay, wait. You said most of them are Germans. Okay, tell us more. So like one specific German.
No, I'm joking. I think there's... do you know what I like? For sure, there's a lot of small little arguments in the peloton. But what I can do is... It's a job. You're going to piss people off and they're going to piss you off.
Yeah.
That's no problem. No problem. But then, after the race, it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm not going to hold a grudge. And I'm not going to do something in another race because someone pissed me off in that race. You just got to move on. And I think that's where people go wrong is, you know, it's professional sport. There's a lot on the line. And there is a line, don't cross it. I have in my career and I regret it at times. But it's taken me a while to learn. But now you realise, like, you're going to piss people off. They're going to piss, you know, both ways. Know when enough is enough. Don't cross the line. But also you have to learn to turn the page and just accept these things. But, yeah, who's a big...
Who's an
Do you know
who's been annoying?
Do you know who's a lovely guy? Who's a lovely guy,
Yeah.
but always manages to piss me off is Max Welshide.
All right.
Every race at some point he'll ride through me, just like. But he's such a nice guy, and I see him in the hotel. Hey. So you wanted a name, so there's a name. Max. You know.
Maybe his dimensions are too big to control for himself. Like
he is a big boy. One time in Shelter Price, I seen him crash in the right-hand ditch and end up in the left-hand ditch across the road. Like, but
Michael Bay movie.
I had to name a name. So Max, sorry, you're the man.
All right,
but he's a lovely bloke.
Okay. I think.
Okay.
Anyone got some questions left?
No, more than happy. I think it was a good chat.
This was funny. All right, then. Thank you so much for taking your time.
No, gentlemen, thank you very much for having me. Pleasure.
Thank you, and maybe see you somewhere in the near future.
See you on the
At
road.
least for 2 more years, we can see you where we can watch you on TV. So.